Hi there, this is Shawn1113, your host for the Shawn1113 Podcast Show. Thank you for listening to this podcast, wherever you may be, wherever you listening to, anywhere and everywhere, all over the world. And if you like or love this content, put a 5-star rating. Please put a 5-star rating, comment on the voicemail on Spotify for podcasters.com, and or put comments on Shawn47K at gmail.com, Shawn47K at gmail.com. Everything will be linked in the description, by the way, as always. But again, thank you for joining me. Also, before we get to the look back of the AFC Championship games, did watch the Royal Rumble, WWE, and just let you know that congratulations to Bayley. We'll see what happens there on winning the Women's Royal Rumble, and Cody Rhodes winning the Royal Rumble for the second year, back-to-back Royal Rumble. We'll see it from there. And best of luck to CM Punk, which he suffered a torn tricep injury in the back of his arm. So best of luck to him. Hope he has a speedy recovery. But that's it for the Royal Rumble for now. Now let's look back at the AFC and NFC Championship games. Sometimes circumstances or different set of circumstances can be considered what if. And what if could be the question if the Detroit Lions and the Baltimore Ravens will be at themselves. When I look back at this game, it was, to me, Chiefs won. Congratulations to them. Everybody says, well, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift. Look, the Kansas City offense did enough to win. The story was the Kansas City defense. Let me repeat this. This one was on the Kansas City defense. And nothing defined that moment. Nothing was more definitive was the story of the fourth quarter. Kansas City was up 17-7 on Baltimore. Baltimore was driving the football with some confidence. And then it happened. Near the goal line, Zay Flowers gets hit by Linus Seed on the right side, loses the football. Kansas City recovers for a touchback. That play defined it. Defined the AFC Championship game, in my opinion. Because Baltimore really never recovered from that. Even though they did score a field goal later in the game and move down the field, that play, that Zay Flowers fumble, was the turning point of that AFC Championship game. And the Kansas City Chiefs, unheralded as they are, made the biggest play. Is the reason the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl for the fourth time in 5 years. Not Patrick Mahomes, not Travis Kelce. The Kansas City Chiefs defense, which has not gave up 30 points on any team this season. That's crazy. In today's NFL. That's nuts. As for Baltimore, I don't know. Perfect chance for Lamar Jackson to win against a vulnerable Kansas City team. And he couldn't do it. He wasn't the only person, though. Penalties hurt Baltimore, too. Really and truly. There was one penalty that I think one of the Baltimore defenders hit Patrick Mahomes as he was throwing the football, and that was a 15-yard penalty, roughing the passer. So those kind of penalties, definitely, hurt Baltimore probably more than Lamar Jackson, to be honest with you. Although Jackson didn't help Didn't help the situation by throwing the interception in the end zone when they were moving again. So that was pretty much it. But the story here was the story is not Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. The story was the Kansas City defense in that AFC Championship game again, which is why they going to the Super Bowl against the San Francisco 49ers. And Detroit, which ironically enough leads me to the NFC Championship look back. And to me, that game was a tale of two halves. But then I also realized Detroit had an opportunity to go in that second half to win. They just basically imploded. That fumble that Armstead recovered for the 49ers was 1 point. Was a huge point. The 2 fourth downs they failed. Detroit, hadn't they scored one or even both, the game, Detroit still would have probably went to overtime and maybe even went to the Super Bowl. But to me, the adjustment by San Francisco in the second half was the biggest difference. They just locked it down. It just locked down, played San Francisco 49er football, got physical, got far more physical than Detroit. And the second half adjustment by Kyle Shanahan and outsmarted Dan Campbell and his coaching staff was the difference. And to me, this is why San Francisco is going to the Super Bowl. Those halftime adjustments and the experience of Shanahan being in this spot before and going to the Super Bowl before. He had less talent the last Super Bowl they were in. He has more talent now coming to this year's Super Bowl in Las Vegas. So congratulations to San Francisco 49ers, but also the Detroit Lions on their incredible season. Nobody expected Detroit Lions to do what they did. They are going to be, Detroit's going to be a favorite for quite some time for the NFC North for a while. So that's the one seed that's changed along with Green Bay. Okay, we'll see what happens in 2024, 2025. But right now, February 11th is on its way. Super Bowl 58. San Francisco 49ers, Kansas City Chiefs in Las Vegas, Nevada, Allegiant Stadium. And I think it's a pick'em game, to be honest. I think it's going to really come down to how physical is either defense are, Kansas City or San Francisco. The offense is going to do more than enough. Brock Purdy, I got to give credit also to Brock Purdy for steadying that ship, managing the game. I mean, just managing the game, but also making great plays on his feet. And nobody was expecting that. But I have to give credit for Brock Purdy. He might be more than a game manager after all. So, in my opinion. So, I just want to recognize that for the NFC Championship game. But in the Super Bowl 58, this is a very interesting thing. Interesting. It really is. My pick right now is the San Francisco 49ers in a close one. I really think it's going to be a close game. The biggest question to me is going to be which defense outlasts the other, because they're both physical defenses. So that's going to be the unsung story from here. Not Patrick Mahomes, not Brock Purdy. They're both defenses, in my opinion. So my Super Bowl pick right now is going to be the San Francisco 49ers in a very slight game. But the one thing the 49ers cannot do, though, is what Kansas City did with the AFC Championship. Trail in the first half. Kansas City never trailed the entire game in the AFC Championship game. So San Francisco cannot do the same thing like it did in the like they did trail in the first half. That's the thing. So that is that for the AFC Championship look back and the Super Bowl, my Super Bowl pick, Super Bowl 58 pick. Now everything's ongoing. College basketball will be the next thing. NHL, NBA. If the NBA is getting beaten by women's college basketball in the ratings, I would be completely embarrassed if I were the NBA. If I were working for the NBA, I'm sorry. They should be miles away from women's college basketball, and they're not. That's how far the NBA has fallen on Adam Silver, in my opinion. Really and truly. You got spring training in Major League Baseball coming up, not far away. NHL, like I said, of course, world football, soccer. We got a whole lot of sports coming up going to February, March, eventually April, and so forth and so forth. And with that, this is the Shawn1113 Podcast Show for January 30th, 2024. If you love this content if you love this content, please put a 5-star rating. Please comment. Everything's going to be the link below is going to be in the description. So with that, thank you so much for listening, wherever you may be, anywhere in the world. And as always, please stay encouraged no matter what.